Interpretation of verse 233 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Look at the greatness of Islam. Here Allah Almighty is talking about mothers breastfeeding their children after divorce. Divorce creates discord between the man and the woman. And Allah Almighty looks at the matter with the view of the most gracious, the all-knowing of His servants. He wants to preserve the fruit that resulted from marriage before discord occurs between the parents, so He says to us, do not make your discord disagreement and divorce a misery for the innocent infant. The verse speaks about divorced women who breastfeed their children. And Allah Almighty has legislated the rights of the child over his mother, which is to breastfeed him for 2 full years, meaning 2 years. And what is meant is that the maximum period of breastfeeding is 2 years and no more if she wants to complete breastfeeding. It is 2 full years calculated according to the Hijri month. Then Allah Almighty explained the right of the child over his father, which is that his father spends on him and dresses him in a reasonable manner, meaning according to his financial ability and as is customary among people. The divorced woman is not allowed to burden the child's father with more than he can bear, and she should be satisfied with reasonable maintenance. He should not harm the child's mother by preventing him from spending on his child, and he should not leave her asking people for his sustenance and clothing, and the child's mother should not harm his father and exploit the situation and ask the father for what he cannot bear or deprive him of seeing the child. These rulings are from a merciful Lord who guaranteed the child's right, because he does not enjoy the warmth of life between the father and mother. And Allah has legislated from His mercy the right of the infant, so that if the parent who is responsible for his care dies, Allah the Wise has legislated that if the father dies, the responsibility for maintenance falls on whoever inherits from the infant's father. It is true that the infant inherits from his father, but the care of the orphaned child falls on whoever inherits the guardianship and has guardianship over the money that the infant inherits. Thus, Allah the Almighty guaranteed the infant's right with the one for whom he was born, which is his father if he is alive, and with whoever inherits from the father if he dies. In continuation of the above from verse 233 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Then the verse clarifies that the father and mother must meet to consult and agree on matters related to the children, and it begins with breastfeeding. The verse has shown that the maximum period of breastfeeding is 2 years, calculated according to the Hijri month, and this is for those who want to complete breastfeeding. Perhaps the child needs this, so if they find him healthy, and if they want to be satisfied with less than 2 years, there is nothing wrong with that, but with consultation between the spouses and without affecting the health of the child. If they want to bring a nurse to breastfeed the child and feed him, especially if the mother's health is not sufficient to feed the infant, the guardian must give her her right, which is the cost of breastfeeding in a reasonable manner. And Allah warns against taking a ruling from His rulings and claiming outwardly that He applies it, but He does not care about the spirit of these rulings. An example of this is the father who wants to deceive society. When the father sees his son's wet nurse in front of people, he claims that he spends on her and gives her her full wages and treats her with warmth and honor. But the reality is the opposite. And Allah warns against doing this. You are not dealing with society but with Allah, and Allah sees what you do.